welcome back to the Evolution of Mom. I am so excited for today's special guest. As you know, on the Evolution of Mom, it's all about bringing value and bringing in people who align with those values of filling our cups with fulfillment, passion, purpose, vibrancy, love, and light. And I can't say enough about my dear friend Gloria here. She is a giver of light and love. She has always been a light in my love. She's a deep mentor of mine, my chosen family. I'm so excited to have you here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm like blushing over here. What a welcome.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Gloria. We are so excited.
Oh, a little bit about me. I'm a mom of 3 girls and I've been married. I've been with my husband now for 17 years. So that's an accomplishment. And yay, thank you. And then just about me, I started up my own network marketing business about 5 years ago, which really led me down a path of growth that I did not expect. And that has evolved into so many beautiful things, even outside of that business. Recently joined a coaching program just to dive deeper into like my leadership qualities and into understanding more of who I am and just being more of an embodied person so that I can be like a better mom and a better wife and a better friend and a better leader. And it's been a journey, but yeah, that's a little bit about my story so far.
I love that so much. I love when we dive into our passions, our purposes, even into entrepreneurship, when they align that way, how it does force us into this beautiful space of growth. And then I find there's nothing like it. We almost get like addicted to this adventure of growth that can be so uncomfortable, but so beautiful. And then when it comes into people's lives like yourself, you can't help but share. Right? We do. I always feel that way too about my growth. I'll hear certain things and I'll think of someone and have to share it. And I think you are just such a beautiful embodiment of that. I feel like my life absolutely would not be where it is now had I not had you and your growth in my life. So I think it's so beautiful that when we dive into ourselves, it really does ripple out into those we have influence over. So when you're diving into your passions and your purposes, it's not as selfish as I think people make it to be. It's very selfless in a way that we can really have impact on others when we dive into what we love. So tell me right now, what is the thing you want to talk about the most? What do people need to hear right now? What's on your heart for sharing with women and mothers?
Oh my gosh. Well, first off, what you just said, just spoke so many volumes. How you said it's not selfish to follow those passions and to follow those desires and to light yourself up from the inside out, and which is embodiment. But it's also when you lead yourself in that way, you become a lighthouse for other people. It is the opposite of selfish. So I think it's really important, especially for mothers, especially mothers in business, because we can give, and we don't necessarily make time for ourselves. Sometimes we kind of put ourselves on the back burner, but it's actually needs to be the other way around. When you get embodied and you take the time to even just to do a few of the exercises that I'm going to share with you guys today, how that in turn like lights up the path around you and it inspires other people around you. Like you said, you were inspired, but I mean, you lit yourself up, right? That was a decision you made. I couldn't make that decision for you. I could just stand in my light and hope that other people see the gift in that. And so now you're doing the same thing for other women. And this podcast is just another sign of that, another ripple of that. And so I just wanted to share that because I think that's really important. So thank you for doing what you do as well. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the more love and light and growth that we can give to everybody, the better everyone will be, the better the world will be. And yeah, the more we can lift each other up. But that's just it. It is a choice. Absolutely. We can only stand here in our growth, in our lights, share what we have learned, share our experiences as well, I think is really valuable. And just, hope that people make that choice to hear those words when they're ready to hear them and find their own path in that growth.
Yes, absolutely. We can't force growth and change on other people, it's a waste of time, right? Like you said, it's like we can hope that it does, and that's the best that we can do. So the best thing we can do is learn, like, how do we fix ourselves? How do we become better at managing our emotions and our thoughts? And how do we show up as a lighthouse? How can we shine more by, doing some of the shadow work, which we'll talk about a little bit today too, but like, how can we get better? Because when our focus is outward, it's really hard to change and heal and fix what's going on inside of ourselves when we are trying to focus on like helping and healing other people, right? So I think the biggest thing that I've learned, and that when you ask me like what I want to talk about and what I want to share, I think the best thing I've ever done for myself, and I hope that it resonates with other people and they'll take the time to do this as well, is really just getting more embodied, getting in our body. And I'm sure a lot of women and men are going to hear that and go like, oh, like I am so disconnected from my body. That sounds awful. Because that was me. I was somebody who was very disconnected from my body, like a very confident woman, very like loved who I was. That wasn't the issue. But when it came to my body, it was like, I was so disconnected to that. And so I think that a lot of people hearing might have a little bit of fear there, but it's like your body holds so much wisdom and so much strength, and it is connected to, it's just, I call it source, whatever people want to call it by. But a lot of us are living in our structured mind. We are living in this space where like our brain is so primitive, like it is designed to keep us alive. And so that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's great, but it still deems everything as a threat. Like you're being chased by a bear, or like, right? Like, and if you don't fit in, you're going to die. Because like 100 years ago or whatever, if you didn't belong, right, in a community, what happened? Like, you were kicked out, you would probably freeze or starve, or like, and so your brain is actually still wired that way. And so its whole job is assess the danger. That is how the brain is designed. And so if we are disconnected from our body, there's only one other place that we are residing in, really, and that is the mind. So think about how many people are walking around assessing the danger, looking for the fear, looking for what could go wrong. When is the other shoe going to drop? I mean, think about a time in your own life, because I can think of several in mine where things were going really good. And I was like, this is going too good. Something's going to happen and it's going to start to go bad, right? Like that is the way the mind thinks, and it's crazy. But when you can become aware of that and you can stop living in that and you stop like giving it all of your power, we can start to live in a very calm, very centered, very safe place. And it's very, very possible, even if right now you're hearing this and you're thinking, oh, that's not possible for me. I've lived so much of my life in fight or flight, or I've lived in this chaotic, space. It's possible for everybody.
Get it?
I didn't make it up. I'm sure someone has said that before. But it's like we all have it. We can all tap into this gift. And once you tap into it, it is like anything else, it's a muscle. It takes time to like make it so that it becomes natural if you've been disconnected. But once you can learn just how to drop into the body and you start practicing kind of every day, dropping into the body and doing that, it's like you're going from, the best way that I can describe it is it's like you're an ocean and the mind is like the top of the ocean and it's waves crashing and it's stormy. And even when it's clear, you're just waiting for the next storm to roll in, and it's unpredictable and it's scary. It's scary up there. But what happens when we dive underneath the surface of the ocean and we go into even just the heart energy, we go to our heart and we just even put our focus and awareness on our heart, right? Just even thinking about the heart brings our awareness out of our mind, right? I saw it on you. I just like, whew, yeah, that feels better. Yeah, it does. And in that space under the ocean, it's like we can see the waves. We know there are waves, but they're not really affecting us anymore. So embodied awareness is going even deeper, 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 deeper. So you're like at the bottom of the ocean where like nothing can touch you. You can bring a sunbeam down with you if you want, if that makes you feel safer. I had one girl go, that sounds dark. It's like bring a sunbeam down and just imagine you're down there. There's no waves. There's no crashing. And if people go, but how do I get there? It's like, again, just bring your awareness right now into your stomach. Like bring your awareness there. And that's one simple way. Another way is, feel the chair underneath you. Feel the chair underneath you. Oh, a fly just like attacked me. The fly was like, I want to do this too. This sounds amazing. But if we bring our awareness down to what we're sitting on or what we're standing on, and we feel the support of the chair underneath us, and we feel that like, wow, without needing anything else in this moment, I am so supported. Right. And try and even feel like a little exercise that I do sometimes when I'm driving is I try and feel where I end and where the chair begins underneath me. And you can't. I've never been able to figure it out because there's no separation. We're all connected, right? Like, I mean, I could go into all the quantum science. We're not going to do all that. But it's like when you're in that space, you're just embodiment is connectedness. It is love. It is safety. It is the opposite of structured mind. Structured mind is comparison, it's judgment, it's separation, it's fear, and now even just having this conversation, maybe where once people weren't aware of it, they're going to start to realize when the people maybe around them are in a structured mind, fear space, and when they're not connected into their body.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All of that was so beautiful. I can feel myself, like you said, as you say, focus on your heart. And this is just in a casual conversation. This isn't even in like a guided moment. This is focus on your heart, focus on your stomach. Your mind instantly goes there. And I almost feel myself breathing deeper as you're even just saying that. So it's so amazing. And this is something that has been brought to my attention more and more over even in this last 6 months to the beginning of this year. This all started of, we're so dedicated when we're dedicated to growth, to dedicating growth to our minds and things, but we really need to step into that beautiful space that is our bodies, because we truly are. Most of us are living in that sympathetic nervous system, in that fight or flight. And when we can drop down into our bodies, it automatically forces us into a parasympathetic nervous system, right? That rest and digest. And it is a journey. It is very challenging to go from a state of fight or flight and allow yourself to feel like you're in a safe space. Now, I know for someone like me, when you've dealt with any kind of prolonged stress or physical trauma, especially, it's very hard to dive into that space, especially when you have a relationship with your body where you feel like it's betrayed you, or you have a negative towards aspects of it because of how it makes you feel. Or like I said, just even with your health, that's my past and my journey with that. So as soon as, even you started talking about this and I started learning about diving into the body, it's almost like it would stop at my neck. I could go and then it's like, oh, wait. And then you have to wait and relax and focus. And I find tools of being guided very helpful. But we do, as women, tend to think that we're thriving in this state of reactive mode and stress mode. And like that's where I thrive. I only got 3 hours of sleep last night and I am kicking ass today. Like, yeah, you are. Honestly, you are. And you're doing so great. We do. As women, we do so great in this state of fight or flight. But until you experience what it's like to come at your day from maybe a different space, maybe a state of more rest and proactivity instead of reactivity and fulfillment and a little more awareness, I promise you this side is better. It is, right? Coming and giving from that space. As mothers, we give so much, we outpour so much. As entrepreneurs, as coaches, as guides, as women in general, we give so much. And when we learn to give from a space of fulfillment and from this space versus that space of emptiness and fight or flight, it's completely life-changing.
it's completely life-changing, and I 100% get it. I lived with chronic pain for 9 years. I never really loved my body growing up. So I was like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go in there. And just for anybody who does feel like that, like one thing that we did in our coaching program was when a woman would say like, I can't access it. First of all, it's okay. No judgment. Like if you can't access it, like, okay, I can't access it today. We'll try again. We'll try again. And just don't give up, right? And go back when maybe you feel a little bit more ready to do it. Another girl was like, it was the weirdest thing, but I felt like my toe was accessible. That was the place where she could enter her body because like she was like this, like I can't, this doesn't feel okay to me. So she's like, but my toe feels accessible. I had a girl that it was like right under her chest, like above her stomach, because her stomach was a sensitive area for her, but it was like right above there. She was like, I feel like that's a safe space. And so we leaned into those spaces that felt the safest. And even if it's something as silly as a big toe, it's not silly. It's your body. It's beautiful. And that could be the doorway in to creating more safety and more space. And that like, oh my gosh. And it's so funny because the ego is going to try and talk you out of getting in your body. It doesn't want you to like be down there. It wants you to be in the mind, right? That's where its power lies. So it'll try and talk you out of it and say, you don't have time. Literally 2 minutes is all you need. Like, and even if you're driving in the car, like feeling it around you, feeling sensations that are outside of the mind. So like wiggling your toes, feeling pins and needles in your hands, like moving your hands and feeling the energy, like assessing things that are in the room, or like the taste of something, like anything that you can do to kind of start that. If you're feeling like it's really a place that's hard to get into, there are lots of little ways, and there are so many guided, beautiful modalities that like are on, you can go on YouTube, there's free ones, there's classes, there's so many beautiful ways to do it. But I can promise you, I've tried both ways. And embodiment is, it makes everything else feel like 1,000 times better. It's just, it's such a more relaxed, and your digestion's better too, because you're in right rest and digest. Like everything just moves better when we are in an embodied state. So it's worth like 5 minutes a day, people. Just 5 is all you need.
It is. It is. It can change your whole day. It can change your whole perspective and your whole mood from your day. And our bodies are so smart. Honestly, like our gut is called our second brain for a reason. I mean, you know, you could go into quantum physics. I could go into science about stuff like that, and anatomy. Oh my goodness. And probably one day we will have to. We'll like dive into all our like nerd loves. I'm pretty sure that would be very successful to talk about. But it's just, it's known as our intuition. And this, you know, is known, like you said, as our primitive mind. And it's always assessing where there's danger, why we shouldn't do certain things. And when you have that inner voice questioning you if you should do something, or, you know, even that negative self-talk and things, that's all up here. It's not down in your body.
No,
It's not there. So if you ever need to escape that as well, a really healthy way to do it and to gain control almost, not only of your external environment, but of your internal environment as well, is to drop in. And for me, sometimes it's really about taking a few intentional, conscious moments of even just deep breathing.
yes.
Right? Because we stay in these shallow breaths. If you're listening right now and you're focused on your breathing, you'll notice it's very shallow and it's very high up in your chest on average for the average person, because we're in that state of slight stress, constant stress, whatever it is you want to say. But when you actually focus and take a deep breath in, you can see that you can breathe deeper. And so even just something like that throughout your day, taking those conscious moments. I mean, I know women who will literally go to the bathroom to do this so they can have a space of privacy and quiet. I mean, maybe you're hiding from your coworkers, or maybe you're hiding from your littles where you just need a minute. I mean, sometimes littles don't let you go to the bathroom by yourself, let's be honest, but right? I need a snack. It's like, dude, give me a minute. So wherever it is, I mean, me personally, I love starting my day with that, at least before the kids get up. So that's always an option too, but just making sure you're taking that time for yourself, because even after those few minutes, you're going to show back up to whatever you were doing better, in a better state.
Yes. It's like breathing is the quickest way to get out of your mind, like focusing on your breath. And I never realized that I even did this. And I'm sure many people listening, men and women, have done this where we hold our stomachs in. Right. And so we're not freaking breathing. We're not breathing into the spaces that need that. We're just like, right. Like holding it in. And it's like such an unconscious thing that I do now because of years and years. And I'm like, oh gosh, no, girl, like breathe into the belly. Like it's okay to have a little bit of a belly.
Let that belly out. Let it expand. Like oxygen is life. Our cells are craving it. Your brain is craving it. Your health is craving it. Get that oxygen up in you.
Yes, we need the breath. And that's ego again, trying to control things, right? When you're like holding on, like, and holding that in, that's ego. And something that you said, I mean, primitive mind, ego, whatever you people want to call it by, right? Structured mind is another word for it. It's like when you go to do something that is going to change your life, and your mind will talk you out of it and say, like, it's so much more comfortable just like, sitting and watching Netflix, or we could just like order in. You're like, I'm going to exercise. And your mind's like, okay, whoa, 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 right? Because its whole job is like, that sounds scary. That sounds different. Anything different is deemed as unsafe. And so we talk ourselves out of things that are good for us all the time. And so once you start to tap into like that embodied awareness, a beautiful little thing that I do now is I don't make decisions from my mind. And that might sound so freaking weird to people. And I get that I'm a little woo-woo, but it's okay. But I listen to my gut. I 100% listen to my second brain. They call it a second brain. It's actually your smartest brain is your gut. And that's a whole other topic, why you need to treat your gut real good and like take your vitamins, people. But it's like I'll ask a question and I will listen to my gut for that, like either expansive or restrictiveness. And my gut has never steered me wrong. My mind has. I have dated the wrong people because, I like it, right? And my gut was like, And I was like, oh, I'm going to do it anyway. No. And like, same with like, you have this knowing, you know what I mean? We just have this knowing and we all have it. We all have this like inner knowing when something doesn't feel right. And when we don't listen to it, we're like, dang it. Like I knew that this was going to be whatever it turned out to be. And so now I make my decisions from my gut, even if I'm like picking tile. Like I'm saying any decision, I'm like, how's this feel in the body? I like ask the body. It's like, how do I feel about it?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of what do I think about it?
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that so much because yeah, like you said, it's second brain. It's our smartest brain. Your intuition is honestly everything. And I think we can all think of a time when we didn't listen to it. And there's times where like that has been pretty serious for me. I've gotten into 2 very serious accidents, the 2 biggest times I can think of where my gut was like, don't do it. But I did. And then, there was, and I mean, those are lessons though as well. So from that, when my gut, my intuition was so strong, I've definitely learned to listen to it in those strong moments, but it can be in the small moments as well. And one of the best things I've heard on how to develop your intuition is with the small things. So is with tile, is with, one of my friends gave me an example of, when you're pulling up to a red light and it's going to turn green. And you just knew it, and then it does, that's your moment to acknowledge your intuition and be like, hey, like, good job, intuition, and just like build that relationship with it, right? The little moments. I'm obsessed with how little things build to big successes, right? Small wins lead to big wins.
In everything.
Always.
Everything. That's the thing is so many times we think that the little things like don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm not saying everybody thinks that way, but like how many times in a day do we forget to celebrate like just the smallest tiny little things? But what we don't realize that like, I know you do because we're on this path of personal development, but maybe people don't, is when we celebrate the small things, it actually like attracts bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger wins. And it can go either direction. Like I was saying to my mom the other day, I'm like, isn't it so funny how when you stop eating good, all of a sudden you're not taking your supplements, all of a sudden you're drinking a little bit more. It's like bad habit after bad habit after bad habit all start to just form. And it's like, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, like where did all these bad, and it's like, okay. And so it's, what's the one thing I can add in that's positive?
Yeah.
And that will start swinging the pendulum the other way. And it's like the same with, it's like when you're down the structured mind path, where it's like you have that inner critic, which, by the way, an inner critic is just the voices of everybody who was ever not kind to you, that you formed into one super person in your mind. It's not really you at all. Like anything, who you are would never hate anything that you are or criticize anything that you are. So when you hear that voice, it's a liar. Don't listen. But it's like just realizing, okay, whoa, the pendulum is really swinging this way, where I'm like really in my structured mind. I'm having all these negative thoughts. I'm maybe not making like the best decisions. I'm talking myself out of like good decisions. Like, okay, it's time to get embodied. And then it's like, do something small. Take a few deep breaths in the washroom. Go and write in your journal, and write about a little win that you've had, where maybe you've had a little bit more access into the body, where you didn't before. Like, celebrate those tiny wins, because all of a sudden you're going to be this like badass, totally embodied. People are going to like gravitate towards it because they feel the energy when somebody's embodied. They're like, whoa, this person feels safe. It feels calm. It feels parasympathetic, because it is, right? It's that thing that we all desire to be around, but we're like, but how do people get that way? Well, they're out of their minds.
Yeah.
They're out of their freaking minds.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. And as humans, we just tend to do that. We overcorrect all the time, right? So if we're going into like one negative step, yeah, it overcorrects and then we're way over here. But we can do that with positivity and
Yeah.
good goals as well. We can kind of overcorrect. And that's when our structured mind freaks out and is like, this is way out of our comfort zone. This is way too different. Like, we can't be here. We have to swing way back this way. And so I do find that when we're celebrating those little wins, it's almost like tricking that part of our structured mind to like be like, oh no, that was a win. That was exciting for us. That was safe. And we won. I like that.
Yes. Yes, exactly. It's not like these big, huge changes all at once, because we all know how that goes.
Yes.
It does not go well. Am I right?
No. How many of you have decided, you know what? Usually I wake up at 7:45 and have to be at work by 8:30, but tomorrow I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. And then I'm going to do that for the rest of my days. And it's going to be great. And I'm going to work out and do yoga and meditate and journal. And then I'm going to have a quiet cup of coffee and just start my day great. You're not going to last.
No.
I love you and I believe in you and your optimism. But if you were to start 15 minutes earlier for like a week, and then another 15, and you stack on it and you show your brain, because if you start showing your brain that you're going to wake up at 5 a.m., it's going to tell you you're going to die and you're not going to make it. You can't do it. You can't survive. But just those few little increments, you're showing it what it feels like to have more of a proactive morning, to ease in. Maybe there was a cup of coffee instead of on the go. It was in your favorite chair that morning, and that was a win, and that was exciting. Let's do that again tomorrow. Ooh, next week, maybe we'll add in 10 minutes for exercise and movement. Oh, that was a win. So the baby steps lead to those big wins versus the constant overcorrection.
It's all baby steps. I am like convinced in my heart of hearts that it's like the baby steps are what lead to the massive success that we see. We just assume people have left there, that they were just like, Superman cape, like, I'm going to be successful in embodiment or in business or at a podcast or at fitness, or like list all the things that you can be successful at. And they just think they leaped from like the ground up to this success thing. And it's like, no, it was like every day, little tiny changes, little tiny things that formed habits, right? And the habits are what lead to success, because then there comes a day, like I said, kind of at the beginning, it's a kind of a beautiful full circle moment, but it's like, a little bit every day, like a muscle builds to all of a sudden one day you're embodied. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not easy all the time. Your mind is going to try and talk you out of it, but if you do it and you build that muscle, it's like, then you have that success. Just like in a business, it's what those little things you do every day leads to massive success over time. It's when you go to a gym, you don't go one day and do 100 sit-ups and then you're fit, like, right?
I mean, I wish, but
I wish, guys, but no, that's not how it works. It's like those little commitments every day that become habitual, like, and then that's when you're successful, because you're not even thinking about it. because
Mhm.
you've done it slowly over time, and that's led to successful habits.
Mhm.
Because yeah, trying to do 100 things at once, it's too much. It's too much. We're not superhuman. I mean, we are, but like, yeah, we crash and burn when we try and do that. I mean,
We do. That overwhelm state, right? When we get out of our comfort zone, there's this beautiful comfort zone here, which, has its purpose, has its place. And then there's this next zone that is discomfort and good stress and growth and all of those things. But then there's this layer out here where it's too much. You've gone too far. It's too intimidating. This is the anxiety zone. And you need to, but what we do is when we hit the anxiety zone, we instantly reel back into the comfort zone.
yeah, we're never doing that
Oh, it's
again.
a dance, right? It's a dance. I think when we go into these moments of wanting to grow and change and evolve, that we just have to walk into it from a space of this is a journey and it's not straight uphill to the top of this mountain. It is going to have its highs and lows, its valleys and peaks. But the best thing for those lows and those valleys when you dip into them is if you're aware that that's what's going to happen and that's what is happening, you get out of them faster. And as you go up the hill, those dips become smaller because you learn to recognize them quicker and you can recover faster. And I think that's one of the biggest signs of growth and personal development and becoming your best self is those dips become not as big and not as long.
Oh my gosh. Like, yes, nailed it. Like, I used to take, like, when I first started building a business, it was like a no was like they were saying no to me, and that was rejection, right? And that's how it felt. And now with growth, it's like a no is just a no right now. It's not a no forever. And if something doesn't work out the way I thought, it's like, oh, it's going to work out even better than I thought. Like, it's just such a different mindset than it used to be, where it was like the dips were really dippy and it was very like emotional roller coaster, but then you learn how to ride it and kind of throw your hands in the air and like enjoy the ride and learn that everything in life has peaks and valleys. Like, you can't escape it. A heartbeat, like, we are, like, it is what it is. And you learn that everybody goes through the highs and lows, and when you can learn that the lows are there for your expansion just as much, sometimes even more than the highs are, like, everything that is here is for our expansion and growth. And I find that, I mean, I don't know if you feel it, but 2020 and 2021 have been the years I've grown more than ever. Like,
Yes.
right? So sometimes we need those things to shake us up to grow in ways that we maybe would have never pushed ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, those dips are there to get us out of our comfort zone and it's really valuable to be aware of that because that is being shown to us if we're listening. Hey, here's a lesson here, right? Here's a way you can pivot and grow.
Yes.
Right. So coming out of those dips, knowing like, hey, that was a lesson. Excellent. Here we go.
We're ready to
Excellent.
get.
Right. Like you said, you're riding the roller coaster, but you can get to a place where your hands are in the air and you just don't care.
So true. Like, another thing that I'm learning too is that it's all allowed to be there. Like, we are allowed to be extremely grateful and joyous, and also feel kind of bummed and sad and disappointed all at the same time. And that is something that has really helped my roller coaster, is knowing that, like, it doesn't have to be extremes. It can all be there. Like, if I'm having a bad day because of some bad news, it doesn't mean the whole day has to be bad. Like, there's still lots of joy and lots of gratitude, and like, it all gets to be there. So even when you're in those lows, like, still look for the good, and be with both. Like, they're both allowed to be there, and they're both beautiful, right?
Yeah. And what a beautiful space to get to in life, right? Where we can see that and yeah, correct in that way. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Okay. I feel, and honestly, I know you and I could talk for days and days and days, but as we like to say, time is our only limited commodity. So I'm so grateful for you coming here and spending your time with us. I love you, my listeners. Thanks for being here. Gloria, thank you for being here. If you could give one tangible takeaway for people who are stepping into this space, who are looking for more embodiment, looking for more of that rest and digest over that fight or flight, what would you tell them?
Go out into nature would be the first place. nature's always in a parasympathetic state. And so it's a really great energy to be around and to get into. If you're not sure how to kind of get there yourself first, it'll kind of guide you. Nature has a way of doing that. Essential oils are nature. They're in a parasympathetic state. So using like pure essential oils is another way. Meditation for me never worked, but if it works for other people, great. I would say look up breath work is another one. Quickly, there are 3 ways to like move your energy out of your body and get kind of out of your mind. And that is movement, breath, and sound. So even if you just need to go into your car and freaking scream and like let it out that way, like let out whatever is in there, is another great way to move that energy out and get into a healing space. So
yeah, embrace that moment of rage if you need to. Oh, what was it? Movement, sound,
and breath.
Breath, movement, and sound. And you know what? If you maybe it's not a rage moment, maybe you need like a shift in mentality moment. Music is really good for that too. Music is one of mine. Going out in nature is one. Taking my shoes off, deep breathing. Music is my other one because you can dance, sing, and move your body and have that sound over you as well. So, you know, picking music that lights your soul on fire is a really another good way to like break any kind of moment in your day that isn't aligning with you, isn't feeling so great.
Yeah, 1000%. Love it.
Oh, I love that so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, Gloria, for being here. I'm going to put Gloria's details in the show notes. So please go look her up, follow her Instagram. If you need light and love in your life, honestly, go follow this woman's Instagram. She is the embodiment of that. So thank you.
You're the one glowing like an angel over here.
I know we've had, if you're watching this on YouTube, you have seen me shifting around this whole time of the sun in my eyeballs. But now I'm trying to find this like sweet spot. It's been this whole thing. It's been a journey if you've been on it with me.
Oh, I love you.
Oh, I love you too. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.